Now, over the course of the 10 days, 29 players from a total of 12 countries managed to win a tour card, and it was the first time we've ever seen a Russian win a tour card in Boris Koltsov, and the first time we've ever seen an American win a tour card at Q School in Danny Baggish. What could this do for darts in those two countries, do you think?
Yeah, I think it could do a lot, and I'll start off with Danny Baggish, and hopefully going to hear from him in a moment as well. But when we spoke to him during the World Championship, the Christmas break, you spoke to him, and we said about the CDC, how much that's helped darts in North America. And Danny Baggish himself, he said he thinks that in years to come we could see 5, 6, 7 players competing for tour cards, getting tour cards, and playing on the circuit. And I guess really, when you see players from your country, maybe players outside the UK, the Netherlands, Germany, further afield, getting tour cards, playing on TV, doing well for themselves, that's a big inspiration for a lot of players. They'll think, well, I can play to that level in my own domestic circuit back home. Maybe I'll take the plunge as well and give it a go. You've only got to look at Simon Whitlock when he came over, and then from that you saw Kyle Anderson, and then Corey Cadby for a little while, Damon Heta, and Gordon Mavis, who you're going to hear from later on as well. It's seeing players from your area play on the tour and compete, do well, that gets the interest, and of course gets the coverage from the press and further afield in those areas where darts maybe isn't as popular. So for Danny Baggish, yeah, it's massive. And got to mention as well, the World Series, that's been something that's come back into North America over the last few years. Of course, going further back, we had a lot of darts in America. We had the Las Vegas Desert Classic for a number of years. The Madison Square Garden, that's something that we're hoping we're going to see this year. Who knows yet? We were hoping to see it last year before everything shut down, but that's going to be a big event when that does happen. And then moving over to Boris Koltsov as well, someone that we probably thought would get a tour card a little bit earlier. I know he's still quite young, 32. There's still a lot of years ahead of him, but the way that he came onto the scene, and he's come very close at Q School a couple of times, got to a semi-final 2018, 2019 European Q School. It's always been, you've got to win that tour card outright on the day. There's not 2 spots for the finalists. So he was a couple of games away on each occasion, and someone that's had some sad news. Go back to the World Cup in November, he sadly lost his dad. He still played in the tournament, and he said when he won his tour card this week, he dedicated to his dad. And another affiliate tour to the PDC, the EADC, that's something that he's played on for a lot of years and built up that confidence, built up a lot of wins on that. So seeing those affiliate tours as well, they do play a big part as well, I think, in these guys' successes. And we'll see now how they get on this year. Next year, they've got 2 years at least on the tour, but I think it's only going to help develop darts in those countries.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely can't hurt. And since the last time an American had a tour card, which was in 2011, which wasn't through Q School, Darren Young had one through being in the top 96 in the order of merit, as was the cutoff at the end when they started the tour card system, and Stacey Bromberg had one as the reigning PDC Women's World Champion, but they both lost their cards after 2011. Since then, no American has had a tour card, and no American has gone through Q School to win a tour card. Over that time, 7 different Canadians have won a tour card through Q School. We have Jeff Smith, who's now done it twice. We have Ken McNeil, who's done it twice. We've had Dawson Marshall. We've had John Norman Jr. And some guy named John Part, who's only a 3-time champion of the world. Of course, he had a tour card when it all started, but he had to go to Q School. We had him on back in one of our first episodes. I think he was on our second or third episode after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame and won back his tour card through Q School. But no Americans have managed to get through. And while darts has been growing in popularity in the U.S., obviously nowhere near what it's like in Europe, there hasn't been that representative there. There hasn't been that flag bearer to play the Pro Tour events and to try to qualify for these big televised events that are now getting on television in the U.S. That now can change. Likewise for Russia, I can't comment nearly as much. I don't know what the dart scene is like in Russia, but there obviously is something, because they've been streaming the Eastern European qualifiers for years now on some of those Eastern European events, and there's new players that no one has ever seen before who are going to these events and playing competitively, which means there must be some sort of scene there. Whether there's the popular interest, I don't know, but it can't hurt to have someone representing your country who's playing week in, week out. And as the PDC continues to expand within Europe eastwards, having a player there will increase the chance that maybe they'll take a punt and try to put an event in Moscow or St. Petersburg one year, hopefully in the middle of summer, not in the early spring or late autumn, because that might not be the best time to go to Russia. But it's a possibility. And you mentioned, of course, Madison Square Garden's coming up in the U.S. Danny Baggish now has every chance, especially if he hits the ground running, to be invited to that event, not as one of the 8 American qualifiers, but as one of the PDC professionals, because they've done the same thing in Australia with Simon Whitlock and Kyle Anderson, making them the professionals who were there because they're on the professional circuit. Danny Baggish now has that chance to be one of those. Whether they do it or not, we'll see. But that is an added bonus, an added honor that comes with being a tour card holder. It gives everyone else something to fight for and say, I want to equal him. I want that next time we go to Madison Square Gardens or go to Vegas. I think this is a good thing for both American and Russian darts. And hopefully this year we'll get the chance to see just how big, at least in the U.S.